Hello, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. Let's just get things going so we make sure we have enough time for Q&A at the end. Speaking of Q&A, we will periodically get to questions as they come up to make sure that we're covering things that are time sensitive as far as the content that we're getting through. Another piece of housekeeping, this will be recorded and we will provide registrants with the recording as well as upload it to our YouTube, which should go live hopefully by the end of this week. So if you're not able to attend live, or if you have other teammates who are looking forward to going over some of this content, don't worry because it will be posted. So let's dive in. As far as the agenda goes, we'll do some introductions, talk about some Zapier automations, some dynamic organizer customizations, and then some templates and dashboard views. And Tyler and Lauren are experts in this regard, so that you guys are in great hands. As far as introductions goes, we have Tyler Otto here. He's a firm owner. He's the owner of Specialized Accounting. He also is the host of the Unaccountable podcast. If anyone has listened to any of those episodes, they're incredible. And he's also the CEO, owner of Firm Foundation, which we'll touch on a little bit towards the end. And we also have Lauren Getchy. She is our implementation team manager, and she helps firms just get set up and successful right away on the platform. And so she'll have also some great info to share along the way. So without further ado, I'm going to let Tyler take over. I'll be monitoring the chat, and enjoy, everybody.
Awesome. Lauren, did you have anything you wanted to kick off? I don't want to steal your thunder if you did want to touch on anything.
No, I'm good. Just like Maddie said, my team, you guys probably have met with my wonderful team. I manage the implementation specialists and our customer success manager, and I will be chiming in throughout the presentation with other information. Did we want to kick off with the pricing note first, or did you want to?
I think that's helpful.
Great, perfect, yeah. So just want to call out too that Tyler is going to be going over quite a few different double features today in regards to your tax workflows. And majority of the features, especially our organizers and our signatures that he's going to talk about, are part of our tax suite feature. And this is a feature that you do need to get enabled, and it does require an annual contract. The contract needs to be for at least a minimum of $200 per month. So you can think of this as essentially 20 clients on our core tier, which is $10 a month, or truly any combination of clients and tiers, but it does need to somehow equate to a minimum of $200 a month. Also noting that if you don't have 20 clients, but you really want access to the features that we're going to review today, that is okay. You are still welcome to sign the contract. You don't necessarily have to physically connect 20. The condition here is really that $200 a month. If you're like, I'm already paying you guys $200 a month, I want this feature, no problem. We just want to get that contract in place. So you'll want to reach out to our sales team. We can put the email in the chat, but it's just sales@doublehq.com. And we can walk you through all the necessary information for that and all of those options. So if you're not already on our tax suite feature, or don't have access to it, I should say, please reach out to sales. Or if you forget all of that, you can always reach out to me and I can get you guys set up.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, as they said, my name's Tyler Otto. I am a bit of an obsessed person with Double. And I'm just excited today to kind of show you how we've built out our entire workflows and systems to allow us to just get going in tax season. And so whether you're a seasoned veteran that you used Double last year, maybe you're on a different platform, you're switching to Double, or you're just starting up a firm and you're like, how can I get the most out of this software given it's already February 11th and I want to use it for this tax season? We're going to get you plenty of ideas, plenty of examples of how we use it, and even info on how you can get some templates to get up and going right away. Now, I mean, I would love to spend the next 6 weeks with you all, 8 hours a day, walking through tax strategy and just all the cool things you could do to build your firm. But today we're going to hit on the highlights. So I'm going to be showing a lot of examples, but we're not going to go into the nitty gritty on building out every single template and every single workflow. But we will give you details at the end on how you can get those templates and those workflows. So I'm going to steal the screen share from Maddie, and we're going to look at just one of my demo companies or demo double portals. And we're going to be playing around with one of my clients today, Bad Assets. So everything we do in here is we're going to be doing the tax returns for this client. And it looks like we did their tax returns as well last year. And so we're going to flip back and forth between the client view and your view. Now, before I even jump into Double is great once you have the client signed. It's fantastic. It's your workflows for getting the client through the tax returns, collecting information, communicating, delegating to your team. It's amazing. But before that, we have to kick off their entire process. And I would be remiss if I didn't show you at least a basic version of what we do at our firm, which you can have any number of contract softwares out there to sign up clients. Maybe you use Salesforce. We use Anchor. Maybe you use Financial Sense or Keep Full or Go High Level. Maybe you have any of those platforms you want it to integrate. Now, Anchor is what we use and I love it. And it does have an integration to Double, but we still use Zapier to kick off all our stuff. And I want to give you ideas of why I love Double's API is because here's a very simplified version of what we do in Zapier every single time a client signs with us. If that Anchor proposal gets signed, it automatically kicks off an automation to create that client in Double using the company name. And it will create, a tax only workflow, a bookkeeping only workflow, or both, depending on your choice. You can then add the client as well, pull their name in from that proposal that was signed, get their name, info, email built in, even set some admin settings like granting them financial access. Then you can immediately also add an onboarding template. We're going to go through tasks here in a minute where you set up your task workflow for clients. You could have hundreds of task templates. You just got to go into your Double account, let's go on your side, go into your templates. And on any sort of task template, you can just pull this ID and say, hey, I want to apply it to my client. Maybe you want to apply the organizers we're going to be talking about. You can pick which one you want to do. Maybe you want to apply an admin template and then a close template. But the beauty here is, unlike with the Anchor to Double integration right now, I can even invite my clients to the portal. I can then tell it, hey, the moment they sign, kick off all these templates, kick off their onboarding organizer, set up their questions, and then go in and send them an email. And with a simple little bit of AI work, just telling it, hey, here's what I want out of an email, we're able, the moment they sign, to kick off something pretty and lovely that says, hey, welcome to our firm, client name. It'll pull in, whatever name was in Anchor or your Ignition, any other platform. And you can tell your clients how to get going right away, whether text in your receipts to us, download the mobile app, even give them a quick video walkthrough of how they use their portal, and they can get in right away, just do a reset password, and they're just going. I mean, the number one thing you don't want to lose when you onboard a new client is you don't want to lose momentum. And so being able to get them to sign that contract and instantly, within minutes, get them the entire onboarding organizer and workflow emailed to them, it does wonders in increasing your workflow. Because I imagine many of you have had that issue before where you send a client information, a couple days after they sign the agreement, and then it takes 3 weeks to hear back from them. And then they're like, what do you need again? And then they upload part of the documents, and then 3 weeks later you have to harass them again, and then they just upload the same documents, but not what you're asking for. Like, I know many of you have felt this same pain, and so we want to capture the momentum and get them going right away, and that's why we love Double Zapier integration, because it allows us to kick off everything else. We can also include in the chat, Maddie, in our notes, I have a few more Zapiers down below. One of them is, some improvements to the Zapier integration. If you all are interested in helping improve it, upvote some of those features. But we're excited just to show you, there is so much you can do. And if you are using Double to maybe do bookkeeping and tax, you could even add conditions in here, like if the proposal agreement says the word bookkeeping, kick off this stuff. And if it says tax, do this. And my personal one for my firm, I get a text message the moment they sign, just so I know about it. And I message my entire team in the Slack or Teams channel, letting them know, hey, new client alert, let's get excited. There's so much you can do here. And we've got some templates built out over at the Firm Foundation we can get to you that show you a lot more of the neat stuff you can do and how to build these automations to just cut down on time and save you money. So before I jump in to using Double, anyone have questions? I mean, if Zapier is new to you, It's a no-code automation platform that looks as simple as what I have on the screen, but you can go as robust as we want. Lauren, any questions so far on this before I dive into using Double?
We have some in the chat, but I think they might be a little bit better for later on.
Perfect.
But do you kind of have maybe like a high level recommendation for kind of best practices on customizing these organizers? I think that's probably what you're gonna dive into.
Yeah, let's dive into the organizers because this is really fun. So with Double, this is where I'm going to say it. Double is super attractive on the client-facing side. I love it. This side, you guys get to get as nitty gritty and dirty as you want into your templates and organizers. And at my firm, this is just a demo account, but we probably have 30 organizers here for every scenario we could want to use. And so if you're working through situations with your clients trying to figure out what info you normally need, we build out an organizer for it because it's as easy as coming in and saying, yep, I want to apply this organizer to these clients or automate the kickoff. Now, what I love about Double, as you guys have just continued to improve this process, is the client experience for an organizer. Right here, we can see our client Bad Assets has a tax organizer for 2025. If they click on it and the mobile version of it feels just like this, you can come in and make it feel less overwhelming to them. I think many of you have had this experience where as an accountant, you send them a list of 900 questions you need them to answer. Most of them are not applicable. We don't need this info. And the client feels overwhelmed. I love this view because it very early on makes the client feel like it's less overwhelming than it is. Because originally, before Double had these collapsible sections and conditional logic, we would have 95 questions sitting here. Clients would just be like, oh, I ain't got time for this. But instead, we can do a nice little kickoff. And they just come through and say, yep, here's my name, here's my social security number, date of birth, the fun stuff we need, upload a picture of our driver's license, and then we can put in conditional logic. And this is where I love it, because are you filing with the spouse? They say yes, cool. Now it's going to populate a field to get their spouse's information. But if they say no, let's not bother them with questions. Same thing with kids. I love kids, not necessarily for the sake of kids, but for the tax purposes. Man, I am the worst babysitter ever. I get excited you have kids because we can talk tax strategy now. But we don't want to harass them about questions about kids if they don't have them. So if they say no, let's not do anything. But if they say yes, cool. Let's start getting that dependent information. Let's see if there's any deductions. Let's get them to upload any sort of daycare or child tuition expenses. But we don't want to overwhelm them. And the same thing with Double's conditional logic as well, is I love sources of income. You want to help make it as easy as possible for clients to be like, oh yeah, I did sell my home this year, or I did have a rental property that I forgot to tell you about. And so we go in early on and just say, hey, tell us what sources of income you had. If you had W-2s, cool. Now we have a conditional field that says upload your W-2s because that's what we need. Where sold your home? Yeah, if you sold your home, great. We're going to request that you upload that. Or if you, had Social Security, it's also going to be on this 1099 field. And so we want to make it as customizable to help the clients understand it, especially if they were self-employed. If they were driving Uber or doing anything else, we want to ask them about that business. Tell us what you were doing. Give us access to your QuickBooks or your Wave or your FreshBooks or your spreadsheet or the stone tablet you were etching it in, because some of my clients still seem to can't figure out technology. Either way, we want them to give us this info, and we want to make it as unoverwhelming as possible. So Double's conditional logic is just awesome for the client experience because we don't want to overwhelm them with questions that we don't need answers to. Same thing when it comes to deductions, right? We're looking for change in the couch cushions as accountants. We're trying to find ways to save them money. And maybe we help fish out some of these. Did you have property taxes? Great. Let's get the information. If you didn't, we don't care about that. Did you contribute to your kid's 529? Cool. Let's get the information on that. You can customize this so that every single field, it'll populate instructions on what you need and what you want them to submit. And so, even when it comes to medical expenses, I love playing the game of, can we do this on a Schedule A, or do we have a family management company and we can do a health reimbursement arrangement and all this magic, but it's only if we need to worry about it. Super cool in that regard. And the nice thing about Double is I'll go to the accountant side now. And if I go into my client, we can go to their portal, we can go to their organizers. And this is, Lauren, to your question about, what's the best practices on customizing these. I absolutely love that Double includes the option for us to pre-fill some of the responses. This is the one this is an onboarding organizer that's currently in draft. If we look at that tax one we just looked at, we can still come in here and edit the responses. And the reason I love this is, let's say you just had a sales consult with the client and they already told you half their information. You know their name, you know they have a side hustle, you know they have a business. Nothing annoys a client more than when it's like, oh, cool, I signed up. Now I've got to do all the information again. And so maybe you're just going to come in, do a couple simple things, and say, yep, I'm going to fill out the information I know. I know that Jack Bauer has some other sources of income. He's self-employed, 24. He works for them. So we can start filling this out with the information we know. And the client feels like they get that little bit of white glove service. Not everything. And it's still on the client to certify that everything in this organizer is right. But it's how you provide that little bit of white glove service of putting in some of the information you already know, especially when it comes to spouses and kids. Oh my gosh, nothing wows your clients more than when you say, yep, we already know you have kids and we already know about Jake. And wow, if I really remembered the series 24, I would remember his daughter's name, but I don't. Elisha Cuthbert. Oh, Lauren, you look like you're ready to hit me with it.
Oh, I just wanted to call out too, if you guys used our tax suite last year, but you haven't dove into it yet this year, this is actually a newer feature. So this was covered during our Double Take webinar last month. So this pre-fill that Tyler's walking through is a new feature. And just like he said, the intention there is so you can take the lift off of your clients when necessary. So love this. Update.
Clients want to feel like you know them and there's at least some continuity. Simple things like name of the business, name of spouse and kids. And if you already know they sold their home, put it in there. Like just simple things. I absolutely love this whole feature because it's a make or break in the client relationship. So the beauty about Double, for those of you getting started, is Double comes with some pre-built templates for you. So if you come in, where am I going? I'm driving drunk, sorry. Templates, here we go. Double already has some pre-built templates for you in here that you can use, but you can always customize and build new things, which is what we recommend. Especially, Lauren, going back to your question of like, how do I recommend making this specific to the client? I only work with the hospitality industry. So if I need access to their hotel management system or their marina management system, their restaurant, I already know how to grant us access in Spot On or Toast or, Sharper Marina Management. So I can put a question in here that says, what marina management system or what hotel management system do you use? And I list out all the ones I'm familiar with. If they say that one, it populates a new tab that says, here's how you grant us read-only access. Go through these steps. Oh my goodness, do you look like a savant in your industry because you not only know what systems are in their industry, but you are teaching them how to utilize those systems and give you the info you need. Nothing does more to establish trust in you as an industry expert than when you customize those in there. So this is a wonderful feature. I absolutely love it. Lauren, I'm about ready to jump to signatures next, but any relevant questions on organizers before we keep going?
Yeah, a few things. There's quite a few people in the chat just wanting to know how to customize. So maybe just showing that. I'm going to call out to Tyler customizes with the emojis. Those are not default, and I love them. One thing to note that's slightly confusing is we updated our nomenclature this year. So you will notice last year's it's labeled 2024 1040 organizer, and this year we included Double 2025 1040 organizer. So you should be able to see both. And then even though this is pre-built out, like Tyler's showing right now, you can click into any of these slides and you can customize them. I do recommend a best practice is leaving our default template and duplicating it just so you have that record of what our original template was. I do recommend duplicating it and making customizations that way. There is a question in the chat about where to download organizers. So right now, Double only creates the 1040 organizer on your behalf. And we do have a feature request to make organizers like a community templates, similar to how we have like task community templates. But as of right now, there isn't an option necessarily to download them from each other. And I believe Tyler's going to talk later on about resources for supporting building those out. And then lastly, I saw one other question I just wanted to talk about. Oh, I think
I
some people
see
say,
Patrick has a good one real quick if you want me to hit that one. Are the organizers meant to replace other tax intake software? I mean, take your pick. But yes, I have a really good friend who she still uses Stanford because she loves it and then brings it over here. There is always this debate of, do you do everything in one system or do you do things in different systems because one is really good at this specific thing, one is really good at this specific thing. I'll be honest, I used to use Content Snare for all my intake until Double got their organizers good enough for me to kick it. Now I use Double exclusively, but if you really like Stanford and Sorbonne because they charge hefty fees for only doing this one thing and they are so good at it, I could see why. I like having all the information in one place, but that's just me. Sorry, Lauren, what else you got?
oh no, you're good. And then I'm just seeing a few questions about visibility in two regards. I'm also going to start dropping in the chat our Help Center articles about each
Cool.
of these features that I would recommend you bookmark. And then lastly, there's a few people chiming in about not seeing the organizer or not seeing the feature itself. So as a reminder, in order to access organizers as well as signatures, those are the two tabs on the left here, you do need to have the tax suite enabled, which requires an annual contract. If you are not on an annual contract, you can email sales@doublehq.com and we will get you set up on that. It's $200 a month minimum. And we will make sure to clarify all of that for you. But if you're not seeing that organizer and signature tab, it means you don't have the feature enabled. And then if you do have the feature enabled and you don't see an organizer that you think you should, remember, first of all, you need to be, Tyler, do you mind going back to your double screen?
Yeah.
You need to be in the overall template manager. So Tyler right now is, if you go to the templates at your account level, if you're in an individual client's close page and click on organizers, you're only going to see the ones that you've published drafts to. So if you want to see the Double 2025 organizer, make sure you are on the template section overall, not that individual client's template section. So hopefully that clears it up. If you're still like, I'm not seeing something I should see, our support team is going to probably be the best to help you triage that. They can also confirm if you have the feature enabled. They can also loop you into sales. So that is kind of the troubleshooting stuff I have at this point.
Perfect. All right, everyone. So then let's move on because now we've gotten our client info. They've submitted their organizer. They gave us all their information as pretty as can be. They came in and said, yep, I'm done. And hit some next, and it will say, cool, now you can submit. Notice it won't let them submit until all these questions are filled out. I love it. I can make things required and just restrict them from giving here's 2 lines of information. So this is super cool in that regard. Then you're doing the work. Let's talk about task templates, because for my team, it's always a big thing of making sure that we've got the workflows we need. Now, Double, again, in templates is going to have task templates for you to do. So you got your Double tax task, and they're going to have base templates in here for you to utilize and prep. We go through, and depending on our type of entities, we're building out one for 1040s, one for our businesses, one for extensions, and we're getting them all in here so that we can apply them as needed. And so if we look at, on our client here, Bad Assets, I've already got everything set up, and my team knows exactly what they need to go through and do in order. This is one of those plug and play things where you're going to go through and take some time to set this up. And again, if you want our templates, we'll give QR codes and links at the end to get those. But I mean, this is just, a little bit of setup early on to get it how you want, and then plug and play going forward for your teams. There is a link that Maddie just posted out there or will be posting for one of the feature requests is dynamic due dates. I think that's going to be the next biggest thing to help with this process. But we've even got, checklist in here saying, hey, change the next due date to this, change it. So that way you can stay on task. So what the client sees and feels is a very seamless experience, especially as you're updating throughout the process, where you're at in that process, and the client will see where they're at in the tax preparation, because it'll say, hey, cool, now, well, it didn't update yet, but they're going to see now we're in this status right here of maybe in preparation or in review. So once you have the tax return ready for the client, this is where I get super excited, because we can kick off, or maybe it's not even ready. Maybe we're just doing extensions. You can have the client sign the extension directly through Double. And on our end, all we're doing is coming into the portal, doing signatures. And it's fun because when we send it out, you can have it with instructions on how to do this, maybe even a YouTube video on how to do it. But we can tell the client, hey, here's exactly what we need from you. The nice part about this is that the client, once they get that email, they're going to be able to go in and do an e-signature. So it'll come in here, say, cool, enter your info, fill it out. They'll just type in, I have tested this on mobile, on my iPad. I've had my 65-year-old mom demo it, and she figured it out in under 2 minutes. Like, it's very intuitive for the client, and all they have to go through is do and sign, and now you have an electronic copy. Now, there will be some forms that I won't recommend doing through here, like those of you that have tried to do an S-Corp election, and you know that needs a wedding signature or a couple of those other forms you aren't going to want to do through here. But also, let's address the elephant in the room of, let's add from my templates another one. And we have the ability to do KBA signatures. For those of you that aren't familiar, that is knowledge-based authorization. I'm sure plenty of you have done those signature requests where it says, hey, tell us which of these vehicles you owned in the past and what address did you live at. And they're using information based on your social security number to be able to verify you. It's $1 per signature to do KBA, and you can still just do e-signatures for free. The KBA is what costs. You have to have a separate software to do this. This is cheap. I've come from other softwares and demoed where it's $5 a KBA. The software we used before was $2 a KBA. And you might be like, well, you know, it's only $1 savings, but like that's 50% savings on my signatures. I'll take 50%. And so you just get to come in, pick which clients you want to receive it. You can type in their name, and then you can even, once you have names in here, come in and specify who needs to sign in which field. So if you have multiple recipients, you can say, actually, I want to get rid of that one, and I want recipient number 2 to be filling this out. And I want recipient, there we go, spouse, recipient number 2. Let's put their signature, except that's not the right size. Let's make it smaller, pretty. Let's make it bigger. Now we got the spouse's signature along with a date, or, yep, never mind, cancel, date. And now we have a form that's really simple for the client to fill out and send over their way. So awesome feature. All your documents again in one place. I can't highlight it enough. Lauren, any question on this guy before we keep this party rolling?
One question I was hoping you could cover, Tyler, is what is best practice if you get this KBA all set up, you send it to your client, and the client fails?
Oh, okay. So we've all had that client. We refer to, there's a specific client. We refer to awful clients by her first name. So we have 10 of her. I'm going to say her name's Emily just because I don't want to out her. But we refer to them as Emily clients now because she, for 3 years in a row, couldn't sign things, submitted organizers without information in. We try to Emily proof all our processes. And same thing with signatures, though, is they only get a limited number of temps. I think Farron's on my team. I can see him in the chat. He knows the name I'm talking about. You only get a certain number of attempts on knowledge-based authorizations before you fail out and can't do it. Rest assured, the next best process is you send them an e-file version that you want to get a wedding signature. It's not awesome, but you can do that with the IRS. It's just not as convenient. And again, there is the possibility for fraud, but particularly a lot of these clients, we've worked with them for years. So getting the wedding signature through sending them the PDF, having them print, sign, re-upload, that's the best workaround. But in the email that gets sent to our clients when we tell them how to do this process, we basically say to them very early on, hey guys, you really should take your time and slow down with this because you don't want to mess this up. So great question. Okay, let's keep this party rolling real quick because one of my last favorite features that we utilize in Double is you can build this out as much as you want, whether you have quality controls or anything else. For us, I like to even have opportunities for clients to sign up for tiers of packages. Now, we've decided to go away from being a very cheap tax firm that, we'll do one-off 1040s that, we only talk to the person once a year, but maybe you offer packages. You have a really cheap, a middle of the road, a very expensive, and maybe you advertise to your higher end clients that, hey, we'll do reviews for certain opportunities. Maybe we'll look into the work opportunity tax credit and try and save you. We'll look at your auto expenses. Should you be taking actual or should you be taking mileage? And, are they conforming to all the rules? Can we save money there? Talk about paying their kids through the business. As I said earlier, I love talking kids because of getting the tax savings if they're of a relevant age and we can save them money, but we have to make sure it's a relevant process. And so, making sure that we can pay kids, home office and accountable plans, which we'll have a free download for you guys at the end of this webinar for that. Optimizing their HSA, which is just a money maker account if you know how to do it right. Our list of what we're looking through is insanely long, and we tend to delete some of these for clients that we know it will never apply, right? If they're a service-based business, we're not looking into cost segregation studies. But the world's your oyster in building this out. And again, if you want some of our templates on what we do, as well as trainings on how to utilize these strategies, we'll have links later. But the world's your oyster. Get it set up for your business. And especially if you specialize in an industry, this is where you can start to shine by having double checks in place. And so, Lauren, I don't know, I could go on and on for hours, and we could even do sessions on each of these strategies, and I would just get way too excited. But questions on this guy?
I think what's in the Q&A right now, we can save till the end, but
sweet.
You just mentioned, there's a lot of strategies. We could talk a lot about them. What if someone as a tax preparer isn't maybe necessarily well versed in these strategies? What should they do? What could they do?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because I think some people could look at this and get intimidated. 5 years ago, if I saw just this list of strategies, I would be intimidated because I didn't know everything about the tax world and savings and optimization. So first off, you don't have to be a very high-end tax strategy firm. It's okay to just be a 1040 shop that's just cranking out returns. And so do what you can, and especially add strategies as you need. So maybe you do learn about how to optimize auto expenses and which to choose. Maybe you do spend the next couple months becoming an expert in whether the S Corp election is a good idea and factoring in all of that. Then once you learn the process, build out a checklist for your team to go through and do the same thought checklist that you would. There's no need to think oh, I can't do all 100 strategies we're going to talk about eventually, so I shouldn't get into this. No, pick and choose and do what you can. For us, we always like to look and bucket things into what are the opportunities and then what's the CYA stuff, where it's you just need to cover your butt and make sure that there aren't errors or issues that are going to be big problems. Are they claiming, some child that they don't qualify for? The kid hasn't lived with them for 5 years and someone else is claiming them. Yeah, you probably want some double checks built in place. But I love just building this out as much as you can to really make it easy on quality control. So good question. All right. Well, I got one more section that I also want to talk about. And then Lauren, we can just hit the open Q&A as well as details and go from there. But some of you, actually all of you, I would imagine you started your firm as a one-person shop. That's how we started. Well, actually, my wife started it, and then I stole her business, and now she's the most successful business owner ever because she just kind of retired and collects a paycheck. So I'm the dummy she found to run her business. She's the brains of the operation. But all that being said, you need to be able to manage your team. And so if we go back to this main view, you need to figure out how you're going to manage your double workflow to make sure that, okay, we're keeping up on all our clients. And so utilizing client properties here, where you can create an infinite number of properties that are going to be helpful for you. We track separately extension status. Okay, where are we at with these extensions? Are they needed or are they not even needed? I've already hidden the people where their extensions have been confirmed and received, or the ones where they're not needed. I got rid of those because, okay, we're good, but we filled them out. But everyone else, where are we at in the process? Well, cool. We're going to go through this. In fact, me and my team, we're going to be reviewing this week and saying, cool, what extensions need to go out? And it's going to be based on their due dates. So, the 1040s are going to be on April 15th. The 1120s, this is bad, Tyler, because I added a bunch of dummy clients about 2 hours ago to this profile, and I did not update the due dates. But you want to go through and make sure you have this set up right per client and being okay, are we in the right spot? Which ones are ready for submissions? Which ones aren't? So we're reviewing this weekly. Or maybe you're reviewing your tax return status. Now you've got all your clients, and let's look at it in order. So some of them were waiting on the client, need their info. Maybe we're still waiting on their organizer to be filled out. Looking at Inigo Montoya right now, he is out of office trying to avenge his father, but we can say, he hasn't even started it yet. That's a problem. Whereas our client Bad Assets is, oh, cool, we've started something. Now, I know I already filled this out, but we can see where the client's at. And so you, as the manager, the owner, whoever you are in the business, you need some of these views set up to make it easy for you to come in and see how things are going. And if you want to add another column to this, maybe you want to add a column about VIP status or priority status. I'm a big believer that if all your clients are priority number one, no one is. So you identify who are the crucial clients in your business and prioritize them. But where we go, returns to be filed. Oh, I do already have it on. It's hiding over here. So maybe you're looking at it by which returns need to go out and where we are at in their status. That's going to be one of the easiest ways to just stay on top of your firm, especially when you start getting up to 60 clients. And it's a lot to triage in these next 2 months. So, get crazy, get creative with these client properties and just stay organized, which, all you bookkeepers and accountants, there's a personality type that goes into this business. So I'm not worried about most of you keeping this organized. But those are a couple of my favorite views to manage the overall workflow. And then obviously you can jump into a client at any point, even see, hey, what's been the conversation going on around this client, all from your dashboard. It's a pretty sweet way to stay in touch. Lauren, any questions on this hitting in the chat?
I just wanted to call out two things, and then I also kind of have a question for you. One thing to note is that on the view Tyler's in right now, it is for tax returns. Currently, client list views are either monthly close pages or tax returns. We don't have the ability to combine them both at this time. The intentionality there is that you are looking at a list of tax returns you need to work on and a list of close pages you need to work on. One other kind of side note, a common question request is for clients that maybe you've potentially enabled both monthly bookkeeping and taxes, maybe wanting to remove one of those. That is something that you can reach out to our support team, and they can help you either disable monthly closes, disable tax page, or reverse of that. So I just want to call that out too, because that's a really common thing is people, you can't obviously remove them from that view if you have the monthly close or the tax return enabled. And then my question for you, Tyler, is specifically like solopreneurs, or maybe I call them sometimes like a solo Sally. They're the only person in their account. How involved should like a firm owner get in these views? Like, are these necessary if you are solo?
I think that's a great question, because some of the views we recommend and build out, it's not necessary if you're a one-person shop doing a couple firms. Don't waste your time building this out. You know what's going on. As you build your team, you need a way to stay in the know and check on quality controls very easy, while also not micromanaging yourself and making yourself the bottleneck in the process. And that's where doing this, where it's okay, we can see where we're at in extensions and I can ask my team about it. And this happens all the time where we get in here and I'm like, okay, guys, what's going on with these ones? And it's, maybe your team isn't updating things. Well, if you're asking every week, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, sorry, I forgot. Princess Buttercup, hers is actually submitted. We're just waiting for the confirmation from the IRS. And it's like, okay, cool. We can remove hers. And actually, we figured out that Inigo Montoya doesn't even need an extension. He's going to be filed on time, so extension not needed. That's closed out. Great. But you need to have some sort of processes built out so that you can keep an eye while also not getting into the weeds and hindering your staff. Ask me how I know, because I've made all the mistakes of being too hands-off and being the bottleneck. It is a hard balance to find, and dare I say, sometimes I still struggle with it as we continue to grow. So, continue to innovate and adapt this to your needs is crucial. So, with all that said, we covered a lot in here. We wanted to also offer up all our templates. So we've spent a lot of time taking everything we've done in Double, in Zapier, in Anchor, in Excel sheets for employee bonus programs and compensation structures, tax strategy and planning, the things on figuring out how do you advise your clients on, should they be an S Corp? Should they be paying their kids? Should they do a cost segregation study? Should they be doing real estate professional status? Should they be looking at crypto? Well, not deciding if they should invest in crypto, but what are the implications of staking versus mining, and just everything that we can figure out and do in the tax planning world. we're working on everything we can over here to really make it easy to build the same kind of firm we did. And so, especially on metrics, that's my favorite one, is like advisory, how to build good metrics and planning for, discount margins and cost per occupied room for us. But you might be a restaurant, so cost per table, labor, cost of goods sold margins, how to structure your equity accounts for multi-owner businesses. Everything that we're doing, we are building out over in Firm Foundation. And so for the Double community, for the next 2 days, we wanted to offer 22% off. Just use double to get that. But if you're not interested in that, you can also head on over. We have our free home office deduction calculator or accountable plan. If you don't know which to use when because of S Corp, C Corps, partnership, Schedule C, make sure you know the difference of when to use it. But we've got a free calculator for you. Just scan the QR code, head on over there, and we'll send you a copy. Want to make it as easy on you as possible to just kind of learn more about it. But regardless, connect with us. Would love to work with you over at Firm Foundation, or just come hang out with me on LinkedIn. But that's everything we got, Lauren. I'm happy to go, Q&A mode at this point, and you tell me what you need.
Great. I am going to go through Q&A. There are a few questions that I think we can just knock out with reiterating a couple things. The biggest one being what organizers are available. So to reiterate, the only one that Double provides is the annual 1040 organizer at this time. The great thing, though, is Tyler has a lot of those organizers built out. And so that is the advantage of having him. We are so grateful for him. If you want to work with him, that is how you can access a lot of the templates and organizers he showed you today. There was a question about the Canadian organizers. Right now, we don't provide those. I don't know if you do, Tyler.
We don't. Obviously, if you come join our community, I'm happy to spitball and build, but because that sounds fun. But no, we don't have any Canadian ones built out yet.
Okay, great. So then continue with Q&A. There was a couple questions at the very, very top of your presentation about bills. People wanting to know if you're submitting bills via Double, and steps to confirm payments.
Yeah, so that's very much on the bookkeeping side of everything we advise and all of our processes, but Double receipts, absolutely, all receipts. Even some of our clients, they're using point of sale systems or revenue management systems that are old school, hosted on a server, and the only exports are PDF. And so for us to get our revenue entries, they have to have their system automatically email us a PDF every night. Well, we use Double for those revenue entries as well, because we wrote a little AI script that said, when you see this document, break it out into a revenue entry like this and post it. So like revenue entries, bills, receipts, expenses, we've done all of that. Even the logic of saying in Double receipts, if you see, the number is 0365, we know that's the last four of a debit card tied to this account. So automatically make it an expense. Or if it's this vendor, even though it looks like a bill, we know they're on auto pay, so automatically make it an expense. So setting up a lot of those rules is crucial to get the most out of the system. That's not an area where you can just say, oh, I'm going to hire it out to someone that understands it better. You really just need to understand your clients and have a habit of, as you get a new client and you learn about their vendors, you need to ask them like, okay, who's on auto pay, who's on not. And we actually have a receipt organizer we built out in the last couple of weeks that I'm about to implement at my firm with all onboardings that actually is going to ask them about those vendors, about those credit cards and which bank or credit card account they're tied to. So the setup is crucial, which is also, if you guys aren't charging a setup fee to do all this amazing stuff, you should be, because that's what it covers. And we have the money to pay for a lot of heavy lifting up front for each client to really wow them with the further on experience. So good question. What else you got, Lauren?
You previously touched on potentially replacing other software like Soroban or Stanford. Nancy had a follow-up question in regards to that. Wondering if you could give an example of what it might look like for your colleague who uses Stanford Tax and then brings it all into Double. What would that look like?
I mean, so at the end of the day, all these systems are document and client management processes, right? Like, you're not preparing the tax return into the Double. So like, I'll talk about when we used to use Content Snare. We would send a separate link as a non-transaction question in Double to here's your Content Snare, and then fill this out. We'd get the data, download it as PDF and all the attachments, save it on our OneDrive, save it in Double so the client could see it. And then we would prepare the tax returns, whether you're in ProConnect or Drake or TaxSlayer or UltraTax, whatever you're using, prepare it there. So you got to figure out where you're saving your documents and where you want to utilize it. We keep all the documents. Clients are, I see your question, Carrie, hence why I'm saying that. We're keeping all the documents the client care about, a copy of them in Double so that they can go in and self-service at any time. And let's say we part ways with them or they part with us, I can archive their account, but they can always go access their data and we don't ever need to take the time to respond to their email when Emily reaches out and says, I can't find it for the 5th year in a row. So I always recommend saving it out there. But yeah, I mean, you're going to have to figure out your own workflow where you get the systems. I just like it all being in one place personally when I can.
Great. A few questions about signatures. I believe this is in regards to potentially the Anchor integration. Is it possible or in the pipeline to be able to add a spot for myself to sign when I send it out? I think this is about the engagement letter. I'm thinking particularly if I send an engagement letter through.
I mean, that would have to be with Double's dev team. As much as I talk and rave and love Double, I have no insights into what you guys are coming up and building. So I think Ben intentionally keeps me in the dark so I don't have to slip and actually say something I shouldn't.
You're good. I didn't know if you had like a recommended practice, what you do on your end for when you're signing off.
In those scenarios, if there's a document I need to sign and I want to do it through Double, I would have Zapier kick off the draft of it, and then I would have it in my task template as one of the first things to do is, hey, go add myself manually, make sure the fields are mapped, and then do that. Because you're right, in Zapier right now, you can't apply yourself that I'm aware of as a signature, and especially that field mapping thing, it gets a little bit more finicky. I guess maybe, well, this is where we'd have to play with it because like maybe you could, but I don't think it's possible at the moment.
Yeah. Shauna asked, are answers locked in once a client submits their organizer? If I base a return on their answers, I would like them not to change after the fact.
Yes, this is one of the greatest things because when the client finally comes in, actually, let's go to this view, fills out their, nope, not that one. Sorry, guys. This one. They fill everything out and they hit this submit button that needs everything filled out. Once they do that, it is locked down. They cannot come back in and edit it. And I love that because we've all had this issue where you prep the tax return, you submit it on March 31st, and then on April 14th, they're like, oh, I forgot to tell you about 2 other W-2s I just received. And then they're surprised when you say, hey, that's going to cost extra money for us to undo it. You want to be able to point to this, which is why we have this are we done? AKA, if it's not in here, it does not exist. Like, we very highly tout this is a source of truth. So if you tell us wrong, you're going to incur other fees if we don't know about it. So yes, it locks down, best thing ever, all day, every day.
Someone is curious too, where do you keep the documents?
Yes, so Carrie, as we were saying, we use OneDrive, Google Drive. I like something that's backed up by my IT network that I can always have. Nothing against Double, but you know, Amazon Warehouse Services gets goofy sometimes, so we want always our own stuff. And then we always upload client documents to the portal as our interface. But the CYA copy always lives in our OneDrive, or if you're a Google company, Google Drive.
And then Nancy was wondering if you could just maybe review again how to get the signature form into Double. How do you make this efficient if it's already in the tax software?
So like, Nancy, are you saying like if you have an 8878, a 2553 or something, and you need to get it in here, I'm guessing?
I believe so. I think.
Hit me with a yes in the chat, Nancy, if I got that right. Assume so. There we go. Perfect. Thank you, Nancy. Okay. So ultimately, I would go download a blank copy from the IRS, upload it here, and pre-map all the fields like this, which Double's AI tries to pre-map for you. You'll notice on this one, it's already filling out these lines that I never fill out. You know, like, we're doing this manually each time. Some of these never need to be done. I already know the answers. But I would suggest a blank copy, and then you map all the appropriate fields and save it as a template in Double so you can just kick it off. If you have one where, like, it is the extension and you need all the prepaid stuff or the info that's already in the tax file, which I'm sure is what you're probably screaming at me right now, in that scenario, you come in here, go into signatures, add a signature request, say, yep, here's my document. I'm not going to click on this because it'll show my file structure and all my client names, but you would just upload a document right here, say, you know, hey, Jack, we need you to sign X. Maybe you still have a template saved out here and you just apply a template and then upload the most recent copy. That's another good way to go. You know, if we did browse templates, let's just do like an 8879, you could apply this one and then just delete this document and add a new one with your data you already have from the tax software. So there's plenty of options you could do, but for things like 2553s and whatnot, well, not necessarily those, but forms that are pretty boilerplate, I would just have pre-built versions. But you can always customize the instructions down below. Good questions.
Patrick had a question about that's like heavily tied to that custom client list view you had with the tax returns. So
Yes.
he's basically asking about how to customize some of this. And I want to call out that some of these things are going to be internal only that you can customize versus external in the client portal. So the first one is there anywhere to add properties to the portal? The portal can be slightly customized in sense of things you can put on their like resources tab and permissions you can grant them.
The announcement.
But what Tyler was showing you with that client list, the extension status, that is not like a property you can necessarily add to the portal, but you could. The second part of your question, Patrick, is write a custom message saying your return has been extended. We could definitely do that in the portal through a couple different ways that I'm sure Tyler can walk you through. Yeah.
Yeah, you could add even a status in your settings here that's like extension filed if needed. I don't do that because not all my clients need it, so we just have it as part of our extension workflow that the moment something happens, we notify them in here that, hey, your extension has been filed, here's a copy, have a good one. But there's many ways you can do that. Maybe you do add a status here, because this is all customizable, extension filed if needed, and then they skip past it if they don't. But
Yeah, exactly. And then Patrick also had a question about using merge tags for templates or emails. Something to note is our merge tags are amazing. I love them. It makes simplifying your templates so much easier, but those are pre-built by Double. You cannot create your own merge tags. So that being said, you could create an email template that has that information. You could, for instance, create an email template saying we've extended your tax return and send that off, have that templated, but the merge tags themselves are built by Double.
yeah, we actually have quite a few email templates that we've built out at our firm, and then with all the merge tags, and then as part of the task is like, hey, go kick off this templated email saying, hey, we're done with your tax, or hey, we're doing this review right now. We try to do emails for updates where we don't need anything from them, and then we do portal questions for stuff we need from them, and that just keeps them warm. And we do tell them in the email versions, like, nothing needed from you now, just want you to know where we're at. We filed your return, but it's going to be a couple days till we hear back from the IRS and the state. So yeah, templates like crazy with emails. Ooh, excuse me, is awesome.
And we do have the ability to post announcements in the portal, both on the login page and on your dashboard, but those are typically across all clients. So it would need to be an announcement that is relevant to everyone. Or you could just make a note in it. In the announcement itself, this might be relevant to you, might not. So a few different ways you can handle that. I think those are all of the questions that I saw in the Q&A tab. And with a quick glance at the chat, I think we have most of them too.
Questions, feel free to come hit me up on LinkedIn. I love to find an excuse to go goof around on there all day. Or come connect to the Firm Foundation, or even Unaccountable, or anything. Just happy to, I'm lonely as an accountant in an office, right? Like, we all got to hang out and support each other. So,
and just a reminder for everyone, if you need any support within your Double account, you can always reach out to our support team via the purple widget in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Don't forget to request to speak to a real human if the bot replies. And then you can email our sales team. I'll put that in the chat again one more time if you need help with the tax suite, and then I'll just put my email in there too. You're always welcome to shoot me an email.
Awesome.
And that's it.
Well, Thank you, Tyler and Lauren. And also be sure to reach out to sales at Double HQ as well. I'm going to put that email in the chat. This will be posted to our YouTube channel by the end of the week. And as always, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Tyler and Lauren, for sharing all the goodies. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.